Hi, this is Mark Miller of the blog Northwest Sports Biased. I'm welcoming you to a new project we are beginning. It will be the first show solely dedicated to hockey here in the Seattle market and probably in the Northwest region. We don't know for sure. My co-host here.
Hi, my name is Todd Smith of NHL Seattle. Together with Mark, we started a new project called the Metropolitan Hockey Report.
So the mission statement is basically what we're all going for. We want hockey in this market. There is an NHL. There's a cry for the National Hockey League. You know that. I know that. Everybody around here knows that. We've been waiting for that for what? As long as I've lived here, 26 years now. So it's one of those things. We got to get an NHL franchise in this city. It's to be a major league city, you have to have all four teams. And Todd here has been actually running NHL Seattle on Facebook. He's gotten a lot of followers, a lot of hits, and a lot of people are watching right now what we are up to because of what's going on in Sacramento, what's going on in the NBA, and what's going on with Chris Hansen. Explain about your little Facebook page and
Sure.
all the things that go with it.
Thanks, Mark. As many of you know, I do run a Facebook page called NHL Seattle. I started it about 3 years ago with just a couple of guys in the office talking hockey. Since then, we've grown considerably. We're well over 5,000 people following us on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. We have had a great time just getting to talk about hockey, whether it's...
It's nice to be able to talk about hockey with somebody in this market. You know, Facebook and all that has done that. Like, the internet shrunk the world in that way. I didn't know there were so many hockey fans out here. I thought I was all by myself, so it's kind of nice to
And that's kind of where I was at. I grew up in Minnesota, had hockey my entire life.
Oh, yeah. I mean, state of hockey, man. That's the state of hockey.
Yeah. As you can see, I'm sporting the green and gold.
North Stars, man.
North Stars, baby.
And that is a Neil Broughton jersey.
It is Neil Broughton, number 7.
Old school. See, I love the old North Stars logo. Oh, so nice.
See,
They
right
need
there,
to
baby.
get, you know,
right there.
Dallas should have left that name there, man. I know it fits with the Lone Star State, but just that Minnesota North Star thing. Loved it.
We need to revive the North Star up here in Seattle. We need to revive it.
I would love nothing more than to see that North Star jersey on the ice again, but we're going to be the Metropolitans probably, right? See, that's the one thing him and I have been like debating over and over again since I met you. It was the name Metropolitans. It was kind of one of those, I don't want that name, but you know what? If people like it, so be it. I mean,
for those of you who don't know, the Metropolitan is a nod to our city's history within the hockey community. Back in 1917, the Seattle Metropolitans were the very first U.S. team to win a Stanley Cup outside outside Canada.
Yep.
And as such, we've kind of been dubbed the original Hockey Town USA.
USA, yes, sir.
Much to the chagrin, and I know it's going to upset every single Wings fan out there, but sorry, folks, we were the first. The Metropolitan Hockey Report is a nod to that history. We want to celebrate what our city was so famously able to do.
Who's come before us and where we're going.
Exactly. We want to work to bring professional hockey back to this city, to this region as a whole. We have a lot of followers in Alaska, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana.
Yeah.
It just really the whole northwestern corner of the U.S. We want to do our part to give you guys a voice, give you guys a community to be a part of, and we want to have some fun with this this project and welcome all of your input.
Exactly. So you're not alone out there. Like I thought I was alone. You guys aren't alone either. There are a lot of us out there. There's a lot of hockey fans in this market. So hop on board, enjoy the ride, and it's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. Hop on that Zamboni and let's ride.
Oh, man. So, Sacramento, the big news of the week. What are your thoughts?
Wow. You know, I've had the opportunity, the fortune to meet Mr. Hansen, Chris Hansen, on several occasions, and he is a very gracious gentleman. It was a kick in the stomach, not only for me, but the fact that Chris has
all the time he's invested, and all the
time,
money,
the money. I mean, he's probably invested close to $100 million at this
easily,
point, and to have that just kind of a slap in the face to the time and the effort that he's put in, the money. I've never seen somebody do it this way, to be so upfront and so honest about what he was trying to accomplish.
Yeah, he's been very open. I mean, he's very, very, very keeping it, out. He's keeping it out in the open, literally. I'm sorry to say that. He's keeping it wide open, and Bennett didn't do that. Bennett was not... The lies, the trickery, the BS that came out of Clay Bennett was just ridiculous. Chris Hansen he's been transparent. That's the word I was looking for, excuse me. He's been very transparent. He has stated his goal. He wants a team to move. He has never said, I'm a man possessed. He's never had a co-owner like Mr. Aubrey McClendon, who got fined, $250,000 by the NBA for saying we didn't buy a team to own in Seattle. Chris Hansen is buying a team to move. He's not... That's the big difference that a lot of people are saying we are the thieves, like the Okies. No, we are not the thieves. We're righting a wrong that was done to us.
Correct.
That's the way I look at that.
And through this whole process, Chris has been really open with me in the fact that he doesn't want to own a hockey team. He's not a hockey guy. He is a basketball guy. That is his love, his passion. But he also understands the economic climate, what it is. He understands that to run a successful organization, a successful arena project,
you need to have both.
He needs a roommate.
Yep,
he needs a roommate. So he is very actively pursuing a partner from the hockey perspective and the hockey operations to come in, own that franchise here, run it in his arena, and work as a partner to really maximize what they can do to fill dates.
And that's a good thing, because there's a lot of NHL, NBA teams that, they don't have a very nice marriage, sharing a building.
Right.
I think Hansen will find a partner, and his partner will be very receptive and open to Hansen's ideas, and very open and receptive to being a good co-tenant. Unlike the Mariners and Seahawks in the Kingdom, which they were fighting like cats and dogs all the time.
And Chris has done his homework as well. He has, specifically, I know, has studied the Pepsi in Denver, the Pepsi Center.
Yes.
He's also looked quite extensively at the Staples Center down in L.A., and using that information kind of as a model to base his economic projections, to also look at how to work cross-scheduling and stuff between the NHL, the NBA, so that there isn't a lot of conflict within that situation.
Staples is the best when he's looking at something, because, you got 3 tenants there, literally. So if they can pull it off at Staples, there's no way that we wouldn't be able to pull it off here. This market has the hockey fans. I guarantee you, they get a team tomorrow, there'd be 10,000 season tickets sold within 24 hours. I really believe that, honestly.
I believe you're right.
So what do you think of what the NBA did? Mr. David Stern's interference / non-interference, as he likes to put it. His guidance, I think he calls it.
I think he picked a fight, and I think he picked a fight with the wrong group of people.
I agree. I am laughing about that. I just cannot believe that Mr. Stern's going to take on Mr. Microsoft and a guy like Chris Hansen, because there's a lot of history out there that you can look back on and say it's not going to fare well for the league. Just look at Al Davis. That's the nightmare scenario right now in the NBA, is if he does get control of that franchise. They expected him to go away. That was with that relocation thing. They said, 7-0, so he'll just fade off into the sunset, wait for the next team. Not going to happen. If he does go through with buying that team, it could turn into a circus. And in a way, I hope it happens that way, just because
it'll be great theater.
Oh yeah, it'll be fun to watch. It'll be fun to watch. It'll keep us in video cameras and lights for the next, It'll be fun to watch. It'll be interesting, and it will be ugly.
Yeah, I think it will be that train wreck nobody can turn away from. You are going to tune in daily to see what the new twist, the new saga is going to be.
Like rubbernecking your car crash.
Exactly.
You just,
exactly.
You don't want to, you shouldn't, you know you shouldn't, but you have to. Kind of thing.
You can't turn away.
Oh, it's why would you do this to the biggest market that does not have a National Basketball Association franchise right now currently? I mean, you're looking at a market that is huge. You screwed the Northwest out of 2 teams, literally, Vancouver and Seattle.
Yep.
Shouldn't you want to make amends there somewhere? Somewhere along the line, wouldn't you? The smugness of Dave Stern has just been ridiculous.
Well, I guess even more than that, as far as making amends, what kind of a business decision does it say about your league when you take a franchise out of 2 of the most successful or
Pacific Rim markets? This is the gateway to Asia. These 2 markets, you lost
influential, affluent. The amount of disposable income in Vancouver and in Seattle is leaps and bounds ahead of other markets in North America.
And that's what made me laugh was the fact they're going to sell it to, I don't even know how to pronounce the guy's name, Rindive or something, the Indian guy.
Ranadiv.
Yeah, that guy. They're going to sell it to him because they think that Indian fans are going to become NBA fans because they have a guy who owns the team. Does that mean in Jacksonville, Shaka Khan and his Sasha Khan, that guy, they bought a team in Jacksonville, and you didn't hear anybody say that Jacksonville is going to become Pakistan's new NFL franchise.
Yeah.
Nobody cares who they own. Do you think Russian fans care that the New Jersey Nets are owned by a Russian guy? I don't think there's a big net following in Moscow right now. I don't see it.
No, I think if sports leagues truly want to be international, they need to be in international cities.
Exactly, that's
Seattle,
the truth.
Vancouver is a gateway to Asia, like you said. You're going to see, you already see with the Vancouver Canucks that they have a huge following in China.
Yes.
They have a huge following in Japan. By placing a franchise here in Seattle, I think you are going to further enhance that. You're going to see that rivalry up and down the I-5.
Exactly.
So you're going to have a natural rivalry between Vancouver, between Seattle, and you will expand into those Asian markets. If the NBA was smart, they would capitalize on that same situation.
I agree.
Put them back in Seattle, put them back in Vancouver. You'll pull in the Chinese, you'll pull in the Japanese, the Koreans, that whole that Pacific
It's
rim.
geography, not
Exactly.
ownership. That's the problem.
Exactly.
And that's what I don't get why Stern would pull that.
Still loose. 11 seconds. You've got 10 seconds. The countdown going on right now. Morrow up to Schultz. 5 seconds left in the game. You believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
And we're back, and we're going to talk about the playoffs, actually, which are just starting yesterday. Canucks are playing currently. I'm missing them, which kind of is not fun. But what do you think of the series? First of all, let's start with Vancouver. We have to start there. They're the local team.
Vancouver. Gotta tell you, a little disappointed. Luongo got brand new kicker pads. Are you kidding me?
No, we were just seeing it.
You do not get new pads going into the playoffs. It's bad juju, brother.
Bad
juju.
It's like changing a baseball glove in season or your hat. You got to keep your hat the same.
You do not do
you
that.
You don't change.
Aside from that, I think this is probably Robbie Lou's last go-around in Vancouver.
Honestly, I did not think he was going to... If it wasn't for Schneider being injured, I did not think I'd see him in a Canucks uniform on the ice again as in Vancouver, period. Just because of... Did you see the game on Saturday night, actually?
Yeah.
Oh, so those who don't know, Roberto Luongo gave up, 5 goals in the third period of a 2-2 tie at the time. 4 of them came within a minute and 30-something, somewhere around there. Yeah, it was pretty ugly, and the problem was most goalies want to be pulled at that point, so I was shocked that Vigneault left him in there that long, and they showed on Hockey Night Canada during their post-game show, it was about 12 minutes after the game ended. He was already shaved, hair slicked back, wearing a suit, showered, walking out of the arena
Yeah.
before the rest of the team. And he is usually the last in and out of the locker room.
Right.
So
Well, and I think that was probably pretty telling as to the fact that Schneider didn't go in, that he was hurt. Otherwise, I think we would have seen him in there.
they had an AHL goalie, actually, that had never played that was on the bench
Yeah.
that night. And it was like, you had an AHL lineup out there. Why don't you send an AHL goalie out to finish that game? Because
At that point, it really doesn't
you were
matter.
showing him up. That was what it was. He showed him up. It was like that Patrick Waugh thing that happened back in the 90s where the last game he played and he walked to the bench after giving up, 9 goals against Detroit. It was pull me right now, and then it was trade me right effing now to the GM who he walked by on the way to the bench. He never played a game again, and he went and won a cup that year with the Avalanche. So.
Yeah.
Worked out well for him. He won a couple cups, so... I think Vancouver is going to beat San Jose. I think it'll be 5 games. They're more talented. Kessler's back. BX is back. Schneider hopefully is back tomorrow. Friday night? This team to me has a lot of 94 in it. That team when they went to the finals and lost to New York in 7 still hurts. Nathan Lafayette hit the post. It was one of those things that they all got healthy at the same time that year when the Canucks went to the finals. So I'm banking on that. I don't think they can get past Chicago, honestly. But we always play them well, so I just want to see Chicago, Vancouver round 4 in the playoffs just because it's become a great rivalry.
Speaking of Chicago,
Minnesota game last night.
Minnesota should have had him. I can honestly say I'm not a huge Wild fan. I was gone before the Wild came, so it doesn't have the same place in my heart as what the North Stars did. But the fact that it's still Chicago and that old division with the Wings, the Chicago, the Blues, and Minnesota was
the old Norris.
It was black and blue hockey at its best. And when you grow up in Minnesota, it's in your DNA to hate Chicago and St. Louis and Detroit, and there's just no getting around it. I can't get past that.
Yeah.
And I hope the Wild can come back and just beat them up.
You know what? That would have been a really great story if they won last night. The goalie has MS. Unbelievable. He kept that team in that game against probably the best team in hockey this year into overtime. So hopefully that's a pick me up. Maybe they can make this a long series. But do you have any
beat them up trying?
Do you have any thoughts on how far this series will go and who wins?
Much as it pains me to say, Chicago in 7. Chicago in 7.
I'll say Chicago in 6. I hate saying that. Barf.
Yeah.
I hate the Blackhawks. If anybody who knows me is watching, you know what I think of Chicago. Not one of my favorite groups of folks. St. Louis, Los Angeles.
St. Louis.
Defending champions.
Boy. LA is not the team they were last year. They
caught lightning in a bottle. That was what it was. They caught lightning in a bottle.
I just don't see them getting by St. Louis. I think St. Louis has their number. I'm going to say 5 games.
I'll say LA in 6 just to contradict you, but I don't think LA goes any farther than the second round. I think they're going to get annihilated by whoever they run into next round. I think they can match just because I think the champs, it's the heart of a champion thing. You never underestimate the heart of a champ.
Right.
I think they'll come out and they'll win this first series, but there's no in hell they repeat or even get near the finals again.
No.
Not this year.
No.
Detroit and the Ducks.
All of those Detroit folks, I see it all over the place. They're going duck hunting. I don't see it. I think the Red Wings are booking their tee times already.
The original Hockeytown USA says, no way Detroit. Anaheim wins. I'll say 5 games. Detroit shouldn't have been in playoffs this year. It should have been Minnesota. Not Minnesota. It should have been Columbus.
Yeah.
They
got hosed.
They were playing great hockey at the end. Detroit, they got hot just in time to make the playoffs. they have to keep their streak alive, I guess, like the Portland Trailblazers back in the days when they kept making playoffs but never did anything. Well, Detroit's won a couple cups, but what have you done for me lately?
I think it's a quick exit.
Exactly. Pittsburgh and the Islanders tonight. Pittsburgh rolled, by the way. I thought it would be a 4-game sweep, and it's looking like that right now. They're the only team I thought that Pittsburgh actually could have had an issue with in the first round was the Winnipeg Jets. And yeah, the Islanders are not as physical as the Jets would have been, and Pittsburgh is a finesse team. I mean, the Islanders want to be a finesse team, but they're not. They are too young. They're getting there, but they're cannon fodder. They're going to get rolled.
Yeah, but I think what we're seeing now is that first wave of talent with the Islanders. I think it bodes well for them in the future, and good things for them are on the horizon.
They are getting up there. They're moving up. Their draft picks are finally working out, kind of like in Edmonton.
Right.
How they're starting to get a little bit better, and they're going to be. They need a goaltender there, though. That's their problem in Edmonton, actually. Boston and Toronto.
Beantown.
One of my other favorite teams, by the way. We don't have to go into any detail about why that is.
Yeah, Boston is that storied franchise, but I just don't see a cup in their future. Not this year.
No. Boston, again, like LA. This is the one thing about the NHL playoffs. If you catch lightning in a bottle, you can go a long way, and you can take the whole thing. It doesn't happen as much in the NFL. I mean, you'll get some wild card teams getting the Super Bowl. A couple have won it, but hockey happens all the time. If an 8th seed gets hot, they could roll. I don't think Boston as a 4, though, is going to go that deep. I think they will beat. I'll say 7 games. I think Toronto has playoff fever. They're back. They're kind of enjoying the fact they're in the playoffs. I mean, they're going to light the CN Tower now. It's going to be blue and white, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't turn it into a goal light, but they're going to light it up,
I think they were afraid there wouldn't be enough goals for them to turn it into a goal lamp, so they felt it was a little bit safer to go the blue and white route.
That was actually the thing on Hockey Night in Canada a couple nights ago. They had a thing about the Budweiser red lights. The red lights.
Yep.
And they asked him how long the batteries worked. The guy from Budweiser, actually, Ron McLean, asked him how long the batteries worked in those things. And he says, well, if you live in Montreal, 2 years. If you live in Toronto, it's 15 years. So, yeah. All my Canadian friends out there who are not Maple Laughs fans, and enjoy them like playing Boston this series, please. It's gonna be ugly. I think the Maple Leafs will lose though, so you'll be happy with that thing. Hey, you got the Blue Jays, right?
Yeah.
Ottawa versus Montreal. The old
Canadian on Canadian violence.
An old school matchup from the 20s, even though this is an expansion Senators team, but it's really old school Senators and Habs.
Montreal looked good this year. They're strong.
PK Subban's a stud. I think that guy is a great defensive player. I think he is going to be better than he has been.
Yep.
I think Carey Price is a great goalie. It just depends on the night they catch him on. That's his problem. He's Roberto Luongo of Eastern Canada, literally.
Yeah.
He could look so good sometimes, and then he could look so bad.
Could you imagine a final with him in one end and Robbie Lou on the other to see, who's on that night, who's off that night?
Game 7 would go on forever because
12-12 tie in the third period.
It would be 12-12. It would be like 5 hours of regulation hockey. Probably 4 seconds of overtime because that's what happens. That's the problem with Price and Luongo is cheap goals. I mean, those guys are always giving up the easiest goals you're going to see, like just a little 5-hole deke right in the middle, But yet they're making saves when they're sprawled on all fours by putting the glove up and somehow the puck lands in there. You're like, why are you doing that when... Oh, I don't know. You just gave up a goal.
A floater from the blue line?
Yeah. Basically, yeah. I mean, they're Dan Cloutier would be proud. Dan Cloutier, the old Canucks goalie. That guy was, he like that. He'd make amazing stops, but then he would just sit there and give up the cheapest goals you'd ever find and kill any momentum you had.
Yeah.
I'll say Montreal in 5.
I concur. I think you're right on the money there.
And the Rangers versus Alex. Alex Ovaries or Alex Ovechkin.
Something like that.
Oh God, that guy. They had a thing on. Don Cherry was talking about Coach's Corner last week about Yakupov and Ovechkin and those guys, how they celebrate when they score goals. And those good Canadian boys, they don't do any, they don't do that. They don't do all that, that garbage that they do in soccer. Those good Canadian boys. He goes, look at Patrick Kane. He knows how to celebrate. Look at him. He just, act like you've been there. Bobby Orr, kind of thing. So, I could never stand Ovechkin, and it just gets worse every year. That guy to me is just such a showboat.
He reminds me of that high school hockey kid who got off the bench for the first time, and by golly, he got his first goal his senior year, and oh my goodness, he's going to live up the moment for his 10 minutes of fame.
Like a fat guy scoring a touchdown in the NFL.
Exactly. He's milked it long enough. At some point, you're not a rookie anymore.
Act like you've been there. You score 60 to 70 a year, Why are you going to do that every damn time? Seriously. Act like you've been there. Have some class, dude. Seriously. Ridiculous. It's I don't think the Rangers could match them. So honestly, I think they're going to probably win in 5 games, which kind of sucks, but Lundqvist has looked better, but it's the playoffs, so that's what Lundqvist does in the playoffs. He again chokes, just like a lot of goalies out there that we know of.
He's not a high pressure guy.
No. And what's ironic is guys like Chris Osgood and, there's a few of them. Not Ryan Miller. Jonathan Quick would be another one. Guys who've won a Stanley Cup who they're known a little, but they're not known as being like upper tier goalies.
Yep.
Then you got guys like Lundqvist and Luongo and people that are known as upper tier goalies that just basically, fall flat on their faces once it's, then you start wondering if they're racking up their wins against bad teams, like, just the dregs of the league. That seems to be the case in a lot of ways.
I always looked at Osgood as much as I hated the Wings, I do hate the Wings. Osgood was that lunch pail kind of guy.
Yeah.
He came to work, did his job, kept his mouth shut, and was just a good hard-working goalie. You saw him where he was doing the extra work, where he was working on his skills, but he wasn't flopping around all over the place.
Exactly.
He wasn't looking for that limelight and to be a glory hound. He had Yzerman, he had some of those other guys in front of him that was their job, to be in front of the cameras and to be the spokesman for the team. He went about his job, and I'll respect the guy.
Kind of like a Tim Thomas, though Tim Thomas is a little more outspoken, and I don't know why I brought Tim Thomas up when I bring up. Dude, it's been 2 years, and I'm still not over that Stanley Cup final loss. You know that?
Yeah.
That's it's like the two hardest losses probably for me were the Super Bowl loss by the Seahawks and last year's final. I mean, not 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Well, last year's first round exit wasn't very fun either. But that '94 series when they lost in 7 games, they played a great New York team. I think they won the President's Trophy that year. Vancouver was not supposed to be in that position.
Right.
It was a fun ride.
Right.
It was like enjoyable. But that's the thing about the Seahawks we're gonna have this year. Also, getting to another sport really quick is if they don't win the Super Bowl, this is going to be the biggest letdown in Seattle. I mean, bigger probably than the move. I mean, than being denied the Sacramento King move right now at the moment. Hopefully that gets fixed. When you're expected to win, it's kind of one of those, you have to win then because your fans, anything less than a title at some points, like
Well,
It's not acceptable.
Well, and I think there was, even here in Seattle, we could feel it. You know, we're so close to Vancouver. That's who we get their coverage most of any team in the NHL. And you've got local radio stations. KJR was carrying their games, and so we were able to sit and listen to them. And you start to get emotionally attached. You know, even me as a fan at a distance, you know, I've kind of latched on to Vancouver just because they're the closest
home team.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And so it hurt, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously not as much as if I'd been a, you know, lifelong fan, or if I was up in the city, you know, riding with the other clowns in the street. It's still it hurts when you have such a great regular season and it doesn't end the way you want it, and it comes to that screaming halt, and reality kicks in and says, you didn't do what you were supposed to.
Seeing somebody else skating off with the trophy is it's the hardest thing to watch. I mean, as a fan.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in a World Series, a Super Bowl, anything. When your team loses that championship, it's just kind of like the final second ticks off. I mean, I remember when I was at the Kingdom when the Mariners in '95 got eliminated by the Indians. I remember Buhner got thrown out at first base on a grounder to third. The whole building just basically, it was just the air was completely out. There's losing something that deep in a postseason, getting that close. It's like basically somebody putting $1 million on the table in front of you, and right when you go to grab it, they pull it away as a joke kind of thing. It's you know, everything could be coming true, and then all of a sudden it's just yanked away. You know, you don't have it anymore. You know, then you got to wait the whole off season and watch highlight videos of your team losing in the championship game, and
and I think we saw that with the Seahawks when they went to the Super Bowl. That team was ripped apart afterwards, and you start losing guys that are fan favorites.
That's exactly what it is. Like
that window is so short for success.
Exactly.
You know, I was lucky enough back in Minnesota back in the day when the Minnesota Twins won the World Series in '87 and '91.
Viola that one year, and then what? Who won the MVP? Jack Morris.
Blackjack Morris.
Blackjack.
It is such a feeling of elation, even though, you know, you're not on the field, but everybody pulls together.
It's civic pride. It's civic pride.
That's
what'll happen when we get a team in hockey here, and when we go to the playoffs. I mean, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be civic pride. That's the thing about sports that a lot of people say there's no economic value. There's social value, and sometimes social value is more important than economic value. In that, what else can bring? I don't know, 3 million people together to watch TV at the same time and basically be banging pots on the street when their team wins at the end of the night. You know, it's one of those things that you don't get anywhere else.
Right. Well, and I think we saw that most recently here with the unfortunate events of the marathon bombing, the Boston Marathon bombing, where you had such a touching moment before the Boston Bruin game with the entire stadium pulling together, singing the national anthem.
That was nice. That was beautiful.
And everybody kind of expressed the same sentiment that today we're all Boston fans.
Yep.
That you don't necessarily see that any other time in life than
seeing Yankee fans singing "Sweet Caroline."
Yeah.
That made me just laugh. That was beautiful. It was great.
It's just you don't see that many other places other than in sports.
Yeah.
As much as you have this hatred towards your adversary in times of need, and
you respect them still.
Exactly. You pull together. You have that civic pride, like you said, and it's a great way for us to kind of come together and bond.
That's the thing about sports that does that. There's nothing else in the world that's going to get people to do that. I mean, there's Democrats, there's Republicans, there's Libertarians. I mean, everybody has their own little thoughts, ideas, different religions, but sports actually, for one area, can bring it all together, and that's what's so great about it.
Yeah,
literally.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a break, and we will be right back.
Still loose, 11 seconds. You've got 10 seconds. The countdown going on right now. Morrow up to Schultz. 5 seconds left in the game. You believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
And we're back. we're going to be talking now about Don Cherry's comments. Did you hear about what he said about female reporters in the locker room?
Grapes. What a great guy.
He's a beauty,
For those who haven't heard, why don't you go ahead and refresh us?
So in Vancouver, there was a woman who wanted to go in the locker room to do interviews. And apparently somebody had made a comment that was taken as, you don't play the game, you don't know, and that exploded into, she's a woman, she doesn't play the game, she doesn't know. And I don't know how that came to that point, but apparently the Vancouver writers took offense to it, or umbrage, if you will, and decided to write something about that and blow it up. And Mr. Cherry went on Coach's Corner and basically read them the riot act that women shouldn't be in the locker rooms. They're not there. Nobody feels comfortable with women in the locker rooms when they're showering and whatnot, the players, and they just don't belong there, which made me think of Sam Weish back in 1990 at the Kingdome. He actually, after a Monday Night Football game, he got mad that a woman was in the locker room, and, well, he did his little thing with a towel after that, doing interviews shirtless with just a towel on. Mr. Coach Sam Weish, I love you, baby. You were the greatest coach in history. This is not Cleveland. This is Cincinnati. I love that guy. Cherry, basically 23 years later, brought that back to a head. And what are your thoughts on that, actually? Women in the locker rooms doing reporting.
I'm torn. I'm torn. The fan and the quasi-journalist, the wannabe journalist sometimes, you want to be involved. You want to be right on top of the action. You want to have that visceral reaction that you get right after.
Right after, yeah.
You don't
heat
want
of the battle. You don't want time to come out and basically form a nice, politically correct agent-coach response. You want the heat of heat of the moment.
And you want that good soundbite. And
exactly.
that's why those reporters are there. They're trying to provoke and goad these athletes a lot of times into saying something that is a great soundbite that's going to further their career as a journalist.
Yep.
And it's great. It's great media. It's great TV. Yeah. It's great radio. We all love it. On the flip side, I'm a coach. I've been a player in high school, and I know how locker rooms work.
Yeah.
I know things that are said, and honestly, you're ticked off.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you lose, you are not
right after. You don't want to have a
not
microphone
happy.
stuck
You do
in
not
your face.
want to talk to anybody.
Exactly.
And when you do, nothing nice is going to come out.
No.
You are not going to be a nice guy. Most of us, we love these guys because they're gladiators.
Yep.
They are going in there, do or die.
Exactly.
And when it doesn't go their way, they go back to that locker room, go the hell away.
Pretty much.
Go the hell away.
Pretty much.
And so I can see it from both ways, but I guess me personally, if I was a coach, locker room is off limits. Get the hell out. You can meet my guys in the press room. We will send them out, but get the hell out of my locker room.
Exactly. It should be, give them 10, 15 minutes. Let them come to the interview room. They'll be able to do the same things they're going to do in the locker room when it comes to sound bites. Just give them a few minutes after the game. I don't think I'm going to be labeled as sexist for this, but I don't think women belong in the locker room. I don't think men reporters belong in the locker room in that way. The locker room is basically sacred ground.
It should be.
You can't be there.
Right. It should be a safe zone.
Yeah,
it should be a safe place for athletes to be, because when we see these controversies pop up, they're always these type of situations where it is an athlete that is frustrated, upset. They lash out because they're ticked off about what happened in the game, and then after the fact, we put them in a position where we're all outraged and we're so upset because
that's what it is. People are looking for reasons to get outraged.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And that athlete is put in a position where they have to then kind of backtrack. They may not have really meant what they said. They may have. Who cares? But we brought it to a head, and we forced a situation that doesn't need to be. I know these guys don't have to be role models for our kids. As parents, that's our job.
Exactly.
But kids look up to them regardless of that fact.
Oh, yeah.
We don't need to artificially destroy them. And that's really what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And Don Cherry made it a sex issue. I don't believe that's the case. I think it's across the board.
I think it's a media issue. There's a sign on every locker room on the door. Basically, what goes on here, what's said in here, stays in here. Reporters back in the day, every reporter knew Babe Ruth was in a brothel every night, eating 20 hot dogs and smoking 30 cigars while he downs a couple quarts of whiskey. That wasn't reported because there was more of a... It was a good old boys network. I mean, this is not to say that women are not part of the good old boys network, but nobody's part of it anymore because basically, if they found out that if Babe Ruth played today, it would be in the papers tomorrow that he was in a brothel last night in New Orleans and he ate 20 hot dogs and smoked 20 cigars and had 2 quarts of whiskey. You know, it would be in the paper. It would be on Twitter.
It would be in Twitter in 10 minutes. We'd have pictures all over Instagram.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And what we see...
There has to be some privacy now.
Well, and what we see is, honestly, we're not professional journalists, but what you start to see now with everybody with a cell phone, a smartphone, and a Facebook or a blog...
Could be Peter Jennings.
Exactly.
Yep.
We all have that platform, too. And so everybody's looking to take this and to scoop the next guy and to break a story. And we're always looking for that 10 minutes of fame. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, what gets fame and what gets people's attention is the Kardashians of the world. That it's never the Russell Wilson who's gone to the children's hospital. It isn't the guy that is, the athlete helping out after a hurricane. It isn't these warm fuzzy feeling or these warm fuzzy stories. It's the I'm going to tear you down because, that's shocking.
Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
Guy can't throw a football. So what? Doesn't mean he has to be on an NFL roster, but the problem is, why do you have to tear him down for trying to make one or trying to be what he wants? He wants to be a quarterback. In America now, they want to destroy people that, have a dream, it seems like. It just seems like that. Every time that somebody has, an idea or a dream, somebody's trying to knock it down. Tebow wants to be a quarterback. If he wants to, and he wants to try to be a quarterback, let him try to be a quarterback. Let him go practice. Let him go to coaches. He's been working all off season. He can't find a team. I feel bad about
these
that.
Coaches destroyed my dream. At 5'6" and not being able to skate well, they did not say. They told me I couldn't be a defenseman for them. So Tim Tebow's on his own.
If it's about I was getting to. It's not it's not the talent thing. We know he's not a quarterback. If that's his cup of tea, why do you have to tear him? Why do you have to tear him down?
You don't have to destroy him as a person.
Why do you have to destroy him for his Christianity or for his ideals? It used to be a guy like Tim Tebow. Every dad hell, I would let my daughter marry a guy like Tim Tebow when she's of age. That's just. He's a good guy. What's so wrong about that in this country? The Kardashians are good, but Tebow's bad.
Yeah. I think it's kind of an indictment on what we want from our athletes.
Yeah.
We want them to be that gladiator, that blood sport guy.
But the thing is, we want our kids to be role models, and there's a perfect role model right there to look up to, and yet he gets destroyed in the media for it. That's it's the way the media is now. Like we were saying, everybody wants to be a Peter Jennings type, and if they can find any dirt on you, they will. So the Heritage Classic and the outdoor games, having 100 of them, does that make it special to you anymore, or what?
We're all special. Honestly, what this is turning into is here's your trophy for showing up. Nobody can feel bad. Oh, you didn't get one in your stadium last year. Well, I'll give you one, and I'll give you one, and I'll give you one.
They want the Rangers to play 2 outdoor games next year.
Oh, for crying out loud!
It's are you serious? That is hard enough doing it once, but you're going to sit there and make the same team do it twice in 1 year. I mean, these are not easy games to play in, especially the time of year they play them, the work that goes into getting them together. It's a distraction, literally.
Well, to me, the reason I loved the Classic, it's New Year's Day.
Mm-hmm.
It's that time where everything is all new again.
Yeah.
I know we're in the middle of the season. It's just a time of family for most people.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of winding down the holidays. You're gearing up for a new year. Everybody's made that New Year's resolution.
You don't want to watch college football on TV, so you flip on the hockey game.
Well, you do
you
that.
can do
but
both, yeah.
For me, it brings back those childhood memories, having grown up in a cold weather climate where we played pond hockey.
Oh, yeah.
And that was how we were all introduced to hockey. That's our first love, is going across. For me, it was going across the road. I had a wonderful little pond across our road. All the kids in the neighborhood, we'd show up with our shovels. We'd clear the snow. you cut the cattails off, and
you got a nice rink.
John Schneider. We had a John Schneider, John and Annie, 2 doors down from me. We'd sneak their dad's hose out from the backyard,
flood it
across the road, and we'd reflood it after we cut the cattails. So we had
perfect
brand new
surface.
ice.
Yep.
Oh, it was great, and you always lost 5 or 6 pucks this season into snowbanks, and you'd kind of dig through it. But that's what Classic. That's what the Classic kind of brings back to me. And for those of us that grew up in that cold weather climate, that's kind of what that's a nod to.
Yeah.
And to take that and
bastardize it, literally.
It really is. And the thought of putting one in LA really kind of, I find it distasteful.
Yeah.
I know with technology we can do a lot of things. Really, what kind of ice quality are you going to have? And I'm sorry, but an outdoor hockey game in Southern California it's not the same as New York City, Chicago. Some of these other places that they're talking about, they're night and day difference. And I liked the one game. Go back to a single Classic, New Year's Day. Move it around North America. So from the East Coast to the West Coast, give everybody their opportunity to compete for it. And if it's a bid thing like the All-Star game
or the Super Bowl,
Super Bowl or whatever,
bid for it.
I'm fine with that.
I cannot believe they'd want to. I mean, you can only have a certain amount of a good thing before it gets to be too much, and to me, that's just too much.
Yeah.
It would be like eating burgers every day for your whole life. For a couple days, that would be cool, but I don't know, after about a week, you'd get annoyed with it. It's not something that should be toyed with. It doesn't make it as special as it would have been having one a year. I mean, when you have one a year, it's like you look forward to it. But now they're going to have, 4 next year? Vancouver's going to have one, which is cool. I mean...
Have they officially been announced, though? Because I believe the only official one is, at this point, is the Soldier Field.
They have announced
and they've announced that one, and they've also announced the one at the Big House.
Michigan, yep.
Right. And
Vancouver will get one. That's guaranteed because they've already booked the dates for BC Place for that week. So it'll be interesting to see it at BC Place. I hope they have the roof down because if they're playing it in a dome thanks to a rainstorm outside, it's not... That's the thing is, playing at BC Place is it's not that special. I mean, if they played it a couple years ago when they had the Empire Stadium, like that temporary venue they had for the BC Lions, that would have been kind of cool because it would have been a real outdoor game.
Right.
This is going to be played in a dome where if it rains, they're going to close the roof. So it's not really going to... You're watching basically a game in a big rink. That's all you're doing. You're not outdoors. It's not an outdoor game if it's not outdoors.
Right. Me personally... I like the colder weather climates. That's where I want to see it.
That's where it should be.
Yeah. Honestly, I would love to see Montreal in the wintertime. Is for those of you that love cold weather, love snow like I do. Montreal is a beautiful city in the wintertime. They have lots of snow. Very picturesque city. It'd be an awesome place to have that game.
That's what I can't believe they have not had an outdoor game in Montreal yet. It was Calgary the first time it was in it was Edmonton and I think Calgary didn't host one, did they?
No.
Actually, it is. Edmonton's the only one that's actually hosted an outdoor game in Canada. That's the other thing.
Right.
There should be more of the Canadian cities getting these, just because, well, that's their whole heritage. Winnipeg should get an outdoor game. That would be epic.
Yeah.
An outdoor game in Winnipeg in that new stadium, Mosaic, I think it's called, the new building they've got for the Blue Bombers. 40 below temperatures, that would be hockey right there. That would be interesting to watch. Having it in LA, I'd take Winnipeg over LA 100 times over 100, just to see a game in that city. It would be nice. It would be
a home and home with Montreal and Colorado.
Oh yeah, something like that, There's got to be a way to have outdoor games but not dilute the thing. I mean, I could deal with maybe one in the US and one in Canada every year, but when you're starting to get 4 or more than that every season, it just gets to be too much of a good thing, and it just dilutes the product.
To me, even if you were to say they're on New Year's Day, and if you wanted to play one in Canada, one in US, or even if you were to say 4 or 6 games on a regional basis, but they're all New Year's Day, and you stagger them so that people can watch them.
Like Hockey Day in Canada,
exactly.
Basically.
If you were to do 2 or 3 staggered throughout the day so that coverage is a full day of outdoor hockey on New Year's Day, beautiful.
See, that would be
makes sense
great.
to me.
If they did
beautiful.
something like Hockey Day in Canada and the United States, that would be. I mean, you would grow the game tremendously in that way. I would love to see an outdoor game at Quest Field or Clink or whatever, Seahawks Stadium, whatever you want to call it this week. It would be amazing to watch. I hope we get that chance sometime soon. But I hope it's not like the 5th of 5 games that week or that year in outdoor games. I want it to be really special. That's the point. It's not as special that way.
I'm was very skeptical when they started them on New Year's Day, but it's something me and my boys look forward to.
It's become traditional.
It has. It's very much tradition at our house where we get up, we put on our jerseys, we put on the game, and we have Stadium Day at our house. And so it's awesome. Stadium food that we prepare the night before, and we get up and we do nachos and we do hot dogs, and we do stadium food at the house, and all of us boys, we gather around with Mama, and sometimes my daughter will even join in. Not very often. She's a teenager now, so wanting to be seen with Dad is not very often.
That's how it goes.
But it's something we look forward to at our house, and I think if you take that away, you really start to erode at your fan base, and it becomes less special.
Exactly. That's the thing about stuff like that. You could get. That's what I go back to, or we talked about earlier, was how sports bring communities together. They also bring families together. I mean, I do that. We tailgate here at my house every Seahawks Sunday. When it comes time for Canucks playoffs, it's like party time. It's nice to be able to get with the family and watch a game. Yeah. It's just one of those little things in life that's a joy that you don't expect. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We are going to take a break right now, and we will be right back.
Still loose, 11 seconds. You've got 10 seconds. The countdown going on right now. Morrow up to Schultz. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
And we're back. We're going to go into safety right now. Big thing in the NHL is face shields. Everybody's supposed to wear one, apparently, a lot of people think. Your thoughts on that?
Where do I begin? Here, I guess, is a lot of people say I'm contributing to the wussification of hockey, and I personally think face shields are a must and should be a mandatory piece of equipment. From the plain and simple standpoint of, damn it, you're getting paid a lot of money.
True.
Put on a face guard. You're costing my team games. You're costing my team wins. And first and foremost, you're costing my team ticket sales and merchandising when you're out of the lineup because you're too lazy, too dumb, too stubborn to wear a face guard, you're hurting my team.
It's true.
I don't care about your face so much as I care about my bottom line.
Now,
and we're seeing it. Sid the kid is missing from the playoffs. He's costing his team because he was too damn selfish to put on a face guard.
Oh, I don't know what to say except Craig McTavish didn't even wear a helmet as recently as the 90s. I grew up with hockey players like
Craig
not wearing
McTavish couldn't even
helmets.
tell you what city he's in today.
He's the GM of the Oilers
for
now.
God's
He's going to
sakes.
rebuild that franchise. Come on.
He
thought
thought Seattle was Edmonton and started touring the facility and couldn't figure out when he got a new building.
Oh man, I do not think that players should not have a face shield, but I don't think they should be forced to wear one. Is what I can say best. I mean, Ryan Kessler got hit a couple nights ago in the face with a puck, and it went under his face shield. So I mean, unless you're going to wear a full cage, it's not really protection. I mean, those things have snapped before. And I don't want to see.
Okay.
I don't want to see a full. Oh, I cannot. No, cannot do that. I do not. That's one thing about college hockey. I'm just not a big fan of seeing the whole football helmet like looking thing on it. I'm like, where did my game go, man? You know.
So are you going to pay me back all of those lost dollars when you're on the injured reserve or when you're sitting on the bench recuperating? Are you going to say, you know what, Mr. GM? Mr. Team Owner, I don't need a paycheck because
if a player is willing to do that, which would never happen thanks to the CBA, let them. If they're that against face shields, why not? I go back to Don Cherry, with his only Euros wear the face shields. No good Canadian boys wear the face shields. I grew up in that era, and I remember hearing every week that Wayne Gretzky had a garbage can on his head with those old Jofa helmets.
Yeah,
just cannot, man.
I grew up. I watched Dino Ciccarelli. I watched all the guys up and down, and they didn't have the helmets, and their hair is flown in the wind and everything else. Great, but times have changed.
That's true. The game has gotten harder and faster, and their injury levels are up.
As much as I love this game, it is still a business, and we know that.
That is true.
Economics drive this game. We don't have this game.
It's like the NFL protecting quarterbacks.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. I mean,
See, I can see your point on that. I can see your point, but I don't know, man. I just cannot. I cannot bring myself to ever say my old man would roll over in his grave if he ever saw like somebody wearing a face shield, or a full mask. It's just one of those things, See, I'm an old time man. I'm an old timer when it comes to sports, man. I love my old school games, and I love how the game used to be played. So I see the face shields and all that, and I just think we're living in the era where people are putting their kids in bubble wrap to go out and play at the park after a play date. You know what I mean?
I'm not advocating that we take away what the game is.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, when we have the opportunity to make it safer.
What about going low and blocking shots? I mean, that would take a game. That would take a lot away from the game. Because they are talking about that.
I know that's a hot topic, a hot button discussion, but I'm not in favor of it.
Good.
Do not take it away. But yet, on the other hand, we're seeing these two issues, in my mind, kind of go hand in hand.
They kind of do.
We are starting to see guys take more and more shots to the face because the coaches are teaching the way they're being taught to lay down. It used to be when I was a kid, we were taught to block a shot, you turned away.
Yeah.
Now they're teaching
basically
them
go
to
right
do
into
a baseball
it.
slide right into them, take that shot away, and expose yourself.
Either a stick or a puck in the face.
Exactly. Yeah. And now you're seeing you can't have it both ways. So if you want to have the blocks, and as a coach, if you're telling your guy to get down in front of a 100-mile-an-hour puck, protect him.
True.
Protect him.
Okay. Don't take away blocking shots, and I'll give you the face shield.
All right.
How's that sound?
Done.
See, we made a deal. Now, if the Koreans could do this, we'd be living.
See, as long as we only do the shield,
Yeah.
we can still get that helmet off and take a good whack at his face.
Exactly. Just, it has to be able to take off easy for fights. So
Yeah.
we have to. Well, we have come to the end of our first little journey here. We are going to be doing many more episodes in the next, every week, folks. Till the end of the playoffs, and we'll go once a month, maybe once every 2 weeks during the off season, and come back every week during next NHL regular season. Next week, we're going to be talking about rules, which will be kind of interesting. Explaining
Little Hockey 101. We are really trying to... We know that there's a lot of casual part-time hockey fans. We really want to work on developing a real vibrant hockey community here, and what we need to do is give you the building blocks so that you can understand this game that most of us love so well.
Exactly.
We want you to be able to follow along and create that passion and fervor that we have. And honestly, I still watch games and try to figure out why they call that, because rules are there's constant
offsides
rule
and
changes.
icing are very interesting. They're very easy once you figure them out, but they're hard to explain to a lot of newbies, so it's going to be interesting to do that. First of all, icing is not freezing the puck in a freezer before the game. They do that, though.
Yes, they do
that. We also will be going over the local Western Hockey League teams, local rinks, local teams.
The youth organizations. We really would like to encourage you folks to get your kids involved in hockey. We will give you the resources, let you know what facilities are out there,
who to contact,
how to get your kid involved, all the way from the Learn to Play. Most programs start at around age 4 and go all the way up to adult hockey leagues in the area.
Oh, yeah, there's Learn to Skate classes for adults. I mean, they learn to play hockey, learn to skate. I mean, if you want to, learn a great game, play a great game, and get some exercise doing it, hey, hockey might be your best bet.
It's a great way to get in shape.
Oh, yeah. Skating takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, it does. Our friend Andy Cole over at the GSHL, hope to have him on at some time to discuss what they do. And
various other guests.
We'd like to bring on, teach some of the history of hockey in Seattle. We have a very vibrant history, almost 100 years, coming up on 100 years of hockey.
And we have a few great historians in this area who would be able to narrate that deal.
Absolutely.
Next show will be next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. We're going to be talking about the Coyotes. Quebec City, Markham, Ontario, Oklahoma City, one of our personal favorites, Kansas City, and Las Vegas, and how all those relate to whether we will have that franchise that plays in the desert here sooner than later. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Please don't tune us out. Bear with us. This is our first show.
This is our first show. Folks.
We really would like to do a little. We'd like to do something good here for the hockey community. We want to get input. We want to get feedback from all you folks out there. Please feel free to reach out to us. You can follow us on Twitter at Met Hockey Report. That's METHOCKEYREPORT at Met Hockey Report. Or you can also follow us on our Facebook page, Metropolitan Hockey Report on Facebook, and we'd love to have you join us and follow along.
NHL Seattle as well. They can probably
NHL Seattle is my original Facebook page. That's NHL Seattle, all one word. You'll find us there. That is kind of my entryway into the community. Was really a little bit of everything. You will be offended at some point. I can almost guarantee it. I do my best to offend on an equal basis. The Metropolitan Hockey Report hopefully will have a little less of that and be more factual and let you follow along on the show, let you know who's coming up for guests, appearances that we may be making in the community, as well as community resources.
You can follow me at Northwest Coast Bias. Find that on Google. It's going to be a blog about hockey in this area, getting a franchise in this area, and basically what we're doing here on this show. Hit me also up if you want to. Mark A. Miller at Facebook. You could find me easily. I'm the guy with the Canucks probably avatar all the time on there. That's pretty much all for today, folks. I'm glad you tuned in. Thank you very much. Todd?
Thank you very much for listening to us here today. It's coming up on Cup Crazy time, so those of you out there, enjoy your games, raise a Molson, and see you next week.
See you next week, folks.
Puck is still loose. 11 seconds. You've got 10 seconds. The count